So welcome to our final class of this series. We've been working over the last 9 weeks with the theme of resilience and thriving. And the first sort of half, maybe 5 of the classes of the 9 were um, on the theme more of resilience, of how do we kind of bring ourselves back to a regulated nervous system when we get kind of discombobulated, get stressed, or get off our center in some way. So we talked about orienting, looking around the space, listening to sounds. We talked about using the breath. We talked about different holds you can use, like the butterfly hug, right? Or there was one, I think, like this and one like this. So lots of different resources just to get us back to our center. And then the second half of the session has been, how do we, now that we know how to get back to our center, how do we start to thrive? How do we take this information and move forward in our life? So we've been talking about taking small steps, having a goal, knowing what we want in order to move towards what we want. And today, what I would like to encourage you to do is to, when we start the class, I'll guide you through a process to just kind of tune into how you want to feel. So how you're feeling now versus how you want to feel more of. So maybe you want to feel more joy. Maybe you want to feel more peace. Maybe you want to feel more excitement in your life. And you can attach that to some certain thing, like I want to go on holiday, and if I go on holiday, I'll feel this way. But really what we want to get at is the feeling. How do you want to feel more of in your life? And so maybe you've heard of a something called The Secret. It was quite common and popular a number of years ago, and there was a book written called The Secret. And the idea with The Secret is that whatever you put your mind to and put your attention to and then work towards, you will eventually get, is the premise. But what I've noticed is that many of us have internal resistance to the things that we truly want, right? So we talked a few weeks ago about, what do you really want? But we might have this idea, I really want X, yet inside we think we don't really deserve X, or we can't really have X. So there's some resistance to that. And we take a step forward, then we take a step back, and we never actually get where we want to go. So really acknowledging our resistance to whatever it is that we want can help to integrate that resistance. So we're not trying to push it away. We're not trying to get rid of resistance. We're actually trying to give it a seat at the table. Hello, I see you, resistance. Welcome. What do you have to teach me? Why are you here? Those kinds of inquiries, rather than I'm feeling resistance. That must be bad. I should push it away. Right. So we're going to bring most of our focus today to how we want to feel, how we want to be in the world, and then scanning for resistance when we bring that idea into our minds. And then the physical practice today, a nice flowing class where we're moving from posture to posture. We'll do a little bit of side bending, forward bending, back bending, twisting. So a little bit of a mixed bag of everything, and just kind of creating a nice balanced practice for us today. So we're going to start seated so you can get comfortable on a chair or on the floor, whatever is comfortable for you. Right, so finding a comfortable seat, and as you do, tuning into the pressure on your sit bones, so those two bones at the bottom of your pelvis, and feeling like you're really sitting on your sit bones. So you're not rounded and shifting your weight onto your tailbone and your spine, but really sitting on your sit bones. And as you sit on your sit bones, it brings the pelvis into an upright position. The spine comes into its natural curve. So there's a little inner curve towards your belly button in your lower back. So if we're sitting in a way that we're on our tailbone and we're rounded, the lower back actually curves out and away from the front of the body. So we want to lift and find that little inner curve. If you need to sit on a cushion or a blanket or a meditation cushion to be comfortable, or a chair, absolutely fine. And then see if you can feel a sense of shoulders lining up over your hips. And then your head lining up over your shoulders. Okay. And then I invite you to tune into your breath for a moment. So bringing us into the moment, into our focus by bringing our attention to the breath. If focusing on the breath feels uncomfortable for you, you might instead just tune into the sounds around you. So some way of bringing us to the present moment. So for about a minute or so, simply watching the breath or listening to the sounds around you, letting the rest of your life fade into the background for now. And then I would invite you from this place of a little more inward, coming out of our everyday life and into our more connected selves. I invite you to imagine either a scene of how you want to be in the world. Maybe it's, more vacations. Maybe it's just getting out and exercising more. Or it could simply be a way you want to feel. I want to feel more at home in my body. I want to feel more relaxed in my life. I want to feel more comfortable when I meet strangers, right? Whatever it is. How do you want to be? How do you want to feel? What might that look like in your life? Imagining yourself feeling this, being this, having this. As much detail as you can bring to this scene, the more it anchors into your body. So noticing what you see around you, what you hear, how you're feeling, what you touch, maybe even what you smell and taste when you've achieved this goal of feeling how you want to feel, being how you want to be in the world. And if you only get a really vague picture, that's okay. You can continue to refine the picture as it occurs to you. We're going to take the arms to the sides now and take a breath in and lift the arms up as if we're really gathering that image, that view of ourselves and bringing it into our hearts. Pausing there for a moment. And we'll do that 2 more times to really anchor this intention, reaching the arms up, gathering that energy of where you want to go, how you want to be in the world, bringing it to your heart, pausing for a moment to really visualize and even imagine feeling this in your body. And one more time, reaching up and bringing the hands back to the heart, reconnecting with that vision. Right? And then releasing the hands, and we'll take just a moment to scan the body for any resistance. So you might have felt some tension creep in, or you may have felt some other kind of resistance to the idea that you could have this. You could have this thing that you desire, this way of being in the world that you want. And if any resistance arises in you, notice it, be with it, even make friends with it. We're not trying to push anything away. We're not trying to make anything different. We're acknowledging and noticing any resistance that may arise. And you might feel that as tightness in your body. You might feel it as stories in your mind. You might feel it as numbness, a kind of shutting down. Very common. So whatever you notice, we're going to invite it in by taking the arms to the sides, lifting up, and bringing the hands to the heart. So letting that resistance be with us, not pushing it away. And then we're going to give it lots of space. So we're going to lift up and big circle, letting that resistance have lots of space. So it doesn't have to control us. It can just be. Right? A couple more times. Giving space to that which stands in our way. Right? We're usually trying to eradicate those things, but could we give them space and see what they have to teach us, what they have to show us? Sometimes it's incredible how much our resistance points us in the direction that we need to go. Right? And let's release. Bringing the hands to the knees, bringing the back into a little more arch or extension as you breathe in, and then bringing the back into flexion or rounding as you breathe out. Letting the body rock now to the front of the sit bones and the back of the sit bones and tailbone as you round to the front of the sit bones as you arch. So you can feel your pelvis also moving with your spine. Beautiful. Coming back to the center, you can bring one hand to the floor, or if you're on the chair, you could just place your hand on the seat of the chair for balance. If you're on a chair, I recommend taking your feet a little wider so that you're well balanced and you're not as likely to throw yourself off. You do want to feel both sit bones weighted. And you're going to reach one arm up, breathing in, and then just reaching enough to the side to feel just a little bit of stretch in that long side, and then come back. You can walk the fingertips away or bend your elbow so that you're not jamming your shoulder up towards your ear as you support yourself on the ground. Reaching over and up. If you want to coordinate breathing, exhale as you reach over. Inhale as you lift up. Great. If it feels good to you to stay for a few breaths. You can use your hand to support you on the ground. Again, bend your elbow or move the hand away so you're not jamming up the shoulder. Press down with both sit bones, especially the one on the side of your raised arm. If your arm or shoulder isn't happy here, you can bring it behind your back and keep the same position. Breathing into that long side, 1 or 2 more breaths. And then slowly lifting up, bringing the hands back down to the thighs or the knees, pausing for a moment here in the center, noticing the right side, the left side of your body, maybe comparing and seeing what feels different. Perhaps noticing, does one side feel more spacious now with the intention of the stretch? There's no right or wrong answer. Let's take a deep breath in, let it go with a sigh or humming. So we looked at that some weeks ago, the idea of making some relaxed sound over the vocal cords to help to tone the vagus nerve, which sends a message to the brain that everything is okay. Let's bring the other hand to the ground now, reaching up. And again, you can take it over to the side a little, just to feel that first bit of stretch, and then back to center, over to the side, back to center. You're going to follow your own body's instinct as to how far to go. The messages from your body that say, that's enough. Listening to those messages, maybe staying again, the hand can be up or down, honoring your shoulder or bent too. Breathing into that long side, all the way from your armpit down into your hip. Keeping length in the side that you're going towards as well. So you're not just collapsing, but growing both sides of your torso long. A couple more breaths here. Right, and then we'll bring it back to center. Bring the hands onto the legs again. Relax here for a moment, and again, feel any difference between the two sides. Anything you're aware of, anything you notice. And coming back to the vision of where you want to be, how you want to be in the world, how you want to feel. And every time you find yourself wandering, make this like a compass point that comes back to point in that direction, bringing your body, your mind, and all of your attention to that goal. So let's come over onto all fours. And here I invite you to bring in whatever movement feels good. So this is an intermediate class. You've all been practicing on your own as well as with the classes. So really tuning into what would feel good to your body right now. Maybe it's a circular movement. Maybe it's just being in child's pose. Maybe it's this forward and back, or staying on all fours with cat-cow. So really tuning in and honoring, what does your body want right now? Feel free to take a rest in child's pose at any time, and after you've warmed up a little, you might want to come into downward dog and maybe do a little walking on the spot, or whatever would feel good for you. You can release back down at any time and come back into whatever movement feels good for you. So really another couple of minutes here. So really honoring what emerges for you as what your body would enjoy. Right? We are so often told what to do, how to think, how to feel. And in yoga, if we can really tune in to ourselves and we start to build that muscle for really knowing what we want, it's amazing how many people have no clue what they want because we've been told what to want our whole lives. Right? So what does your body want? Follow that instinct down. Right, and you're eventually going to find your way into downward dog, walking on the spot, and slowly walking your feet toward your hands. You might need to come to your fingertips or walk your hands back to your feet, finding your way to a standing forward bend, softening your knees, bringing your chest down towards your thighs. And if your chest can rest on your thighs, letting it rest there, let your head release. Your arms can dangle, or you can hold your elbows or reach behind your knees. Taking a few breaths here. Beautiful. And then releasing the arms. Now, as long as your spine is in good, happy shape and there's no osteoporosis of the spine, anything where the bones might be a little more brittle, you want to avoid rolling the spine. Otherwise, so if that's the case, you're just going to come up with a nice long spine. Otherwise, if it feels good to you, you can round your back, let your head hang down, let your arms hang, and you'll slowly roll upwards, bringing the spine upright over the hips, letting the arms be heavy, and letting your head emerge last. So that you come into this beautiful standing pose, mountain pose. Shoulders down, heels reaching into the earth, heart lifting, shoulders drawing down and back, crown of the head lifting, but the chin is slightly in. And again, see if you can feel the alignment in your body from internally. Feel your weight into your heels. Feel your hips move back so they're over your heels. Shoulders over the hips. And your head over your shoulders. So usually the weight is a little bit more into the heels to find that alignment. Right, and then from here, bend gently and straighten the legs a few times, just to make sure we're not holding tension in the legs, in the joints of the lower body, so the hips, knees, and ankles. So movement here. Beautiful. And then from here, Coming back to straight legs, and we'll lift the heels up as we lift the arms. So taking the heels up, taking the arms up. You can coordinate the breath by inhaling as you lift, and then exhaling as you release. Let your focus be on one spot, lifting and lowering. So you're softly looking at one spot, not glaring, more like gazing. And that helps to keep the balance. And last one. Good, and releasing down. Great. Let's reconnect with our theme today. So we'll take the arms to the sides, take a breath in, reach all the way up, bringing the hands together and into the heart, where you can pause for a moment and realign your attention with your vision. How do you want to feel? How do you want to be in the world? Can you see that in your mind? Can you feel it in your body? We create our reality by really feeling it first and moving towards it, gathering the resources we need to fulfill that desire. And then noticing any resistance. And we're going to give that resistance space by lifting the hands, breathing in, and opening that space so all of the resistance and all of the goodness can live together. Good, arms coming down to your sides. We'll take the feet apart a little bit, soften the knees, hands to the hips, and do a few circles here. Going slowly, keeping the attention really centered on what you feel, what you notice. Right, that was another one of our resilience tools, is tuning into the felt sense in the body. It can be challenging for some, and at some times if the body feels numb or we're kind of checked out. But as we practice yoga, if we can tune in more and more to the sensations, it just takes us out of our mind. Right? And there's magic in our bodies when we really get out of our minds. There's so much magic to be gleaned. Right, releasing the hands, and we'll bring the feet in towards each other. Do a few circles with your wrists. And then give them a little shake. You can shake them down. You can shake them out to the sides, overhead. And then slowly lowering as you shake, at the shoulders involved, just shaking it all off. Good. And then let your arms hang. Take a moment to appreciate and notice the sensations if there are any present. And then we're going to move into a sun salutation. So you may want to move towards one end of your space, so the front end, so you've got some room to step back behind you. And let's again take the arms to the sides. Inhale and lift. Exhale, bring the hands to the heart. Reconnect with the way you want to be and feel in the world. And hold that vision in your heart as you move through the sun salutation, as you put your effort into your practice, holding this vision. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, coming into a forward bend. Inhaling, hands to shins, lengthening. Exhale, release forward, and let's pause here for a breath. And then from here, hands or fingertips to the ground or to blocks if you have them. We'll step the right leg back, coming into lunge. And let's find a nice alignment in lunge, so hips low if possible. And you want to feel as though your back hip, or so your back leg is drawing up into your back hip, so your right leg. And then your left leg is drawing back into your left hip. So there's this feeling of containing the energy in the hips, sort of engaging through the core and the hips. Good. And then from there, let's step back to downward dog. Soften your knees, lengthen out through the upper body. Take a couple of breaths here, growing long from your fingers to your hips, head releasing. And then we'll lower the knees to come to all fours. Taking a breath in, soft elbows, chest forward, and then exhaling, you can round your back and come down into child's pose where you're welcome to rest for a couple of breaths. Always bringing your attention back to how you want to feel. And then coming back to all fours. Soft elbows, open heart. Exhaling, make your way into downward dog. And then from our downward dog, you can either raise the right leg or just step it forward. So you could raise it first and swing it through, or just step forward, coming into lunge. And again, you may want to be up on your fingertips or on blocks if you have them. And then think about drawing the back leg, your left leg now. So you're engaging and squeezing it in towards the hip as you draw the other leg back toward the hip. And that really protects your hip joints. So if we just kind of let ourselves go as far as we can overstretch and create issues over time. From here, you'll step forward with the left foot, let your head release, and then hands to shins, moving through the whole spine. So there's soft knees and a little arch in your back as you come to this position. And then fold forward, letting your belly and chest come toward your thighs. Again, knees are bent, head down. Take a breath here. And we'll inhale and come all the way up. Hands coming together overhead and down to the heart. Weight into the heels. Feel your heels line up over your feet, shoulders over the hips, head over the shoulders. Coming back to your goal, your vision. Noticing any resistance, and we're going to give our resistance the space in this sun salutation. Inhaling, creating space as you open the arms and dive forward. Inhale, flat back or long spine. Exhale, folding again. Let's take the left leg, step it back this time. So it's the same side we were just on a moment ago. Again, think about drawing the back leg forward, forward leg back into the hip. You want to feel really engaged through the thighs, and then option to bring your hands up onto your front knee and maybe lift overhead. Pausing here. Keep squaring the hips. So this back hip is moving a little forward, forward hip a little back. You can bend your back knee if you need to. That's absolutely fine. From here, hands come down and we'll step back to downward dog. Again, lengthening through the upper body and arms, soft knees. And then releasing the knees to the mat or ground. Soft elbows, heart forward, breathing in. Exhale, rounding and moving back to child's pose. You can pause here for a few breaths. And coming back up to all fours. Moving into downward dog. And again, you can either swing the leg through or step forward with your left foot to come to lunge. Squaring the hips, so that means back leg moving forward, forward leg moving back, engaging. Maybe testing out, does this feel okay to lift up hands to knee? And if you want more, reaching arms overhead. Breathing. Right, and then hands come down. We're going to step forward. Inhale, soft knees as you lengthen the spine, and then exhale to release. Inhale all the way up. Hands coming together. Exhale. Hands to the heart. Setting the weight back on the heels. Hips over heels, shoulders over hips, head over shoulders. And then inhale, lifting. Taking that goal the way you want to feel, spreading it all around you. Coming forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale to release. Step back with the right foot again. This time turning the foot to the side as if for warrior. We'll inhale and lift up into warrior one. And you're going to turn to your right, opening your right foot and checking in that your left knee stays pointing in the same direction as your left foot. Arms to the sides, taking a breath in. And exhale, and we'll sweep down to the bent knee side. Inhale, sweeping up to the other side, reaching that arm up and back. So reaching down, and if I switch, so I'm facing you, you can just reach right down the inner shin, and then hand coming to the back thigh, other palm facing up and reaching back. Good, like sort of a half windmill. The legs stay stationary, and the upper body moving side to side. Great, you can let the forearm come to rest on your thigh this time. Upper arm reaching up. If you want to work harder, don't rest on your thigh. Let your body do the work, and you can just let that arm dangle down by the leg and even press a little bit just above the knee, back towards the wall behind you, so this upper shoulder lifts up and back. Good, if you want a little bit more here, you can take that arm and reach it over your head so that the arm makes a straight line with your body and your leg. Right? Alternately, hand on the lower back, palm out, if that's better for your shoulder. Let's come all the way up now. Right, we're going to lift the back heel, swing the arm over as you pivot on your feet, bring your hands down, step back to downward dog. And take a few breaths in downward dog, maybe walk on the spot. Releasing down to all fours. Finding a little lift in the heart, softness in the elbows, ease in the neck, and then rounding and a few breaths in child's pose. Beautiful. When you're ready to come back up again, come back to all fours, tucking your toes under, reaching into downward dog. And again, either swinging the leg back or just stepping forward with your right foot again. Back foot is going to turn out roughly 45 degrees, whatever feels good for you. So you can get your full foot flat. It may need to step forward a bit, that's fine. And we'll lift up. Coming up into warrior one, and then immediately turning to warrior two. So you can adjust that back foot so it's comfortable. Check with your front knee that it is straight out in the same direction, knee pointing in the same direction as your toes, knee over ankle. And then keeping the legs fairly stationary, letting the body come down to the right, reaching down the inner right shin, lifting up to the left as the right arm reaches up towards the ceiling. Great, so again, as you're coming into that side bend, at some point, if it feels good to you to stay, and again, I'll shift so that we're facing each other. You can either place your forearm or your hand on your thigh or just reach down and let your body weight hold you up. So really lengthening both sides of the torso. The arm can lift straight up. It can be behind the back, or you may want to bring it right overhead. As you come overhead, see if you can imagine a straight line from the top hand to the back foot, right? So if that front leg is a little bit straighter, your hip is going to stick out more. So see if you can find that alignment. Good, breathing. And we'll come up, warrior two. You're going to lift the back heel, pivot as you swing the arms around, bring your hands down, and we'll step forward this time. And then hands to shins, lengthening. Exhale to release and fold forward. Soften your knees. Stay a couple of breaths if you're comfortable here. And then coming all the way up, reaching the arms overhead, bringing the hands together. And then drawing the hands to the heart. Coming back to this vision of your goal, how you want to feel, what you want more of in your life. Maybe it's being with a particular person who you feel really great with. Maybe it's doing more yoga practice or more exercise. Maybe you just want to feel more at home in your body. And whatever resistance you might feel to this goal, if there's resistance, we're going to give it space. So inhale and lift. Exhale, releasing forward. Inhale, flat back or long spine, coming partway up and then releasing again. Beautiful. We'll step the left foot back. So in lunge this time, you can either stay with the hands down, or if you want to challenge yourself a little more, your chest resting on your front thigh. You can reach the arms up overhead or out to the side and find a little lift in your heart. Holding here and breathing. Overhead is more challenging. Out to the side, a little easier. Another option would be a little easier still is arms back. And from there, if you want to challenge a little more, lifting all the way up. Breathing in as you lift. Breathing out as you come forward and stepping back, downward dog. Okay, after a couple of breaths in downward dog, releasing the knees to the mat. Soft elbows, heart forward, breathing in. Exhaling, child's pose. Again, you can stay here for a few breaths. And then coming back up to all fours. Exhale, downward dog. Finding that left foot to come forward, whether it's swinging back first or not. Squaring the hips in your lunge. And then letting the chest rest more or less on your thigh if that's available to you. And then reaching arms out to the side, overhead, or resting on the lower back. Heart is lifting, shoulders moving back. And again, if you want, it feels good for you, you can lift all the way up. Breathing in. Exhale, hands down and step forward. Inhale to lengthen the spine, hands to shins. Exhale to release forward, letting the head go. Couple of breaths here. Soften your knees even more. And then all the way up, reaching overhead, hands coming together, and back to the heart. Set your weight into your heels. Feel your hips line up over your heels, shoulders over the hips, head over the shoulders. From here, bending your knees, and we're going to open out to the side. Arms and legs like a starfish. Soft knees again, and from here coming into a gentle twist, so taking one hand to the opposite thigh or shin, foot, or maybe the floor. This upper arm can reach towards the ceiling or come to the lower back. You'll come back to center and switch sides. Try to keep the torso long as you go from side to side. So reaching out and nice long spine. You can look back behind you if you like. And continuing at your own pace. Great. And next time you come back to the center, go ahead and release the body down towards the center. You can come to your fingertips and we'll bend the knees and lengthen the spine. Come right to the fingertips. Big breath in, and then you can move the legs straighter, let the head release down. Exhaling here. Inhaling fingertips, bend your knees, lift the heart. Exhale, fold forward from the hips as the legs move a little straighter. So a couple more like that. And then feel free to stay in that more straight-legged position for a few breaths. You can let the head hang. You can hold your ankles or cross your arms or just let your hands rest on the ground. Let your weight come a little bit towards the balls of your feet now. And then when you're ready to come up, soften the knees, lengthen the spine, reach the arms to the sides, and slowly lift up. Taking the arms overhead, and then releasing to your sides. Stepping the feet in towards each other, and give everything a little shake. Just let go of the effort of the sun salutations with the variations, and just releasing the body. Beautiful. Come back to mountain pose. Feel your heels on the ground. Hips over the heels, shoulders over the hips, head over the shoulders. You can close your eyes or keep them open. It doesn't matter, whatever feels comfortable to you. I invite you to come back to this vision, how you want to feel, what you want more of in your life. Okay, let's gather that energy, arms to the sides, reaching up overhead. Hands coming together, coming back to the heart. And as you swing the hands down or slide the hands down, bend your elbows and come into a forward bend. So bend your knees and your elbows. Okay, pausing here. And then as long as it's okay for your knees, you're going to come down into a squat. You can keep your heels down or lift them up, doesn't matter. Just coming into a nice easy squat. Maybe it's not so easy for you actually when coming into the squat that you can manage. Right? If your knees don't want to squat that low, you can come to a half squat. It is a little harder on the legs, but it's easier on the knees. And then see if you can find balance here. Lifting your hands. Maybe bringing them to your heart. If you need your hands on the ground, that's absolutely fine. And then from here, I invite you to find the safest, easiest way down. So maybe it's just reaching back and coming down, or coming onto your knees, bringing the knees down. So whatever works for you. We're going to make our way down to the ground now. So you can just go ahead and come onto your back. Arms can be out to the sides or resting on the body. And we'll take a short rest here, just a little tune in. A little transition moment from standing to lying down. If your heart rate is a little elevated, just giving it a moment to relax again. Tuning into your breath, feeling its rhythm and flow without the need to change anything. If if it feels good to you, you might even take a deep breath and make a sigh or some noise as you exhale, or a yawn. So again, one of those tools that we looked at earlier in the session. So we just keep bringing those tools in as we need them. It's not like we do that work and then we don't do it again. But these are tools that we can use over and over and over again. So a few more breaths here. Beautiful. Now let's bring the knees up in towards your body. And place one hand on each knee, and we'll do some circles with the knees. So moving the knees away from each other and around and back in. Just getting some movement into the hip joints. Right. And then coming back to center, and we're going to do a bit of a twist from here. And you can do this twist with your knees up in the air like this, or you can do it with your feet on the floor. You're going to take the arms to the sides. And the way that we'll start is we're going to take one leg, so it doesn't really matter which, and you're going to let that leg open as the other one stays where it was. And at some point, when that leg is, somewhere near the floor, to get your leg to the floor, you're going to have to let your body turn. And as it turns, you can let that other leg come on top. Now, as you go back to center, you're first going to lift the top leg, and you'll get to a point where that's as far as it's going to go, and you're going to come back to center with the leg that you released first. So the other side, first one leg, and you're going to let, as that leg comes down, you're going to let it kind of bring the other leg with it. And then you'll lift the upper leg. And again, at some point, that other leg will follow. And you can go side to side like that. So one leg goes down, the other follows. That leg lifts, the other follows. So again, you could do this just as well with the feet on the floor, if that is more comfortable for you. Right, so wherever you're at, we're now going to, as long as your spine feels good, if you want to do a little release in between, you can come back and forth a few times with the knees. And then you're welcome to do that movement just as we did, one leg at a time. Or if you want a little bit more challenge now, you can let both knees stay together and go slowly to the side. Maybe even keeping the feet up as the knees go down for a little bit of a different flavor. Back to center, and then to the other side. So you're controlling the descent and the lifting of your legs using the muscles of your core. You want to be gentle with your lower back. So if it feels any strain at all with your lower back, bring the feet to the floor or go back to one leg at a time. Right, eventually coming back to the center, bringing your hands to your knees and either circling the knees or rocking side to side or going forward and back. Again, just whatever would feel good to your body. Okay, and then letting the feet come to the floor. So I'm going to invite you into a stationary twist where we go into the twist and stay. Know that you can come out of the twist at any time if it's not comfortable for you, and you can modify or go back to any of those twists that we've just already done. So for the stationary twist, we want to kind of line the spine up with the hips for the twist first. So what we're going to do is from knees bent, feet on the floor, you're going to lift your hips up just an inch or two, and you're going to move them over a couple of inches to the right or the left, it doesn't matter, but I'll say right so that you can follow along with me with where we're going. So if your hips have gone to the right, you're going to bring your knees to the left. Okay, and if your hips went to the left, you'll bring your knees to the right. And then Just check in that that feels comfortable for you, so it feels like your spine is aligned with your hips and head. Okay. So if we don't move the hips to the side, then the hips end up sort of off to one side. And then from here, you can play around with how much twist you want. So if you want less twist, you're going to take that upper knee and point it at the ceiling, foot to the floor. And if you want more twist, you're going to keep that knee on top of the other knee, and then maybe even move it up towards your arm on the ground, or stretch it out straight. And there's so many variations that you can play with here. So you could support that leg you've stretched out with a bolster or some blocks to be comfortable here. You can also work on straightening the lower leg, so you're sort of at a 90-degree angle with your legs, or less, right? It doesn't matter. You can keep both knees bent and stacked. Right, so play around, make it your own, feel what would feel good to you. And whenever you feel ready, and that might be sooner or later, you're gonna roll back onto your back. And then you'll wanna shift your hips back to center. And then I'm gonna recommend, before you do the other side, to bring your knees into your chest and give a little stretch to the lower back, maybe even move the legs forward and back a few times to release your spine and your hips. Wonderful. And then you can allow your feet to come back to the ground. And then we'll go the other way. So if you were going the same direction as me, you're going to lift and shift your hips to the left now. Let both knees come down to the right. The arms can be out to the sides. And then again, you're going to play around. If I want less twist, I'm going to lift the upper leg toward the ceiling, just the knee, not the whole leg. And if I want more twist, I'm going to take that upper leg and I'm going to move it further across my body, maybe towards my arm on the ground, or stretch it out to the side, maybe extend the other leg and reach out. And breathe. So you're finding the variation that feels best for you. The only rule is that you're honoring your body. Coming out if you need to, going deeper if that's what your body's yearning for, but not forcing it. There's no value there. So when you're ready, slowly rolling back onto your back. Again, you want to lift, shift your hips, bring them back to center, and then knees to chest, and lots of movement here, forward and back, side to side, whatever would feel good. You want to really bring the spine and the hips back into a nice alignment before we move into Shavasana. So you can work with Apanasana, this forward and back movement, if that feels good to you. You might reach for happy baby, bringing the arms between the legs to hold the ankles or feet and rocking side to side. You might release and stretch your legs and arms toward the ceiling and give them a little shake if that would feel good. And then eventually bringing the knees back in, and take your time. So the next movement we'll do is to move into Shavasana. So you can go ahead and move into whatever position will be comfortable for you, including if you prefer to be seated, that's also an option. So take your time. If there's more movement that your body is wanting, honor that. And maybe a sigh or a little humming or a yawn, just to kind of reset. And then once you feel settled, you feel comfortable, I invite you to bring back to your mind this idea of how you want to feel, what you want to bring more of into your life, how you want to be. And as you tune into that feeling, I invite you to take a few deep breaths as though you could spread that good feeling all the way to your fingers and toes, to the top of your head, and all through your entire body. Breathing in that good feeling. And then we're going to start from the feet today and move upward, and just invite you to notice whatever is present as you focus on each body part. Maybe noticing if there's any resistance to this goal of how you want to feel, but allowing whatever you notice, whether it's pain, discomfort, whether it's openness, numbness, nothingness, inviting all of that to simply be present with this goal of how you want to feel. So exhale now, letting go a little, softening a little. And letting your awareness come down to your feet and ankles. And just noticing how your feet and ankles feel. And if you don't have much sensation there, you might feel a little bit blank. Sometimes adding a bit of movement can help if you want to feel more, but you can also just acknowledge, I know where my feet are, but I don't quite feel them right now. So you're just noticing what's present, being with whatever you notice without trying to change it, without trying to push it away, with deep and big acceptance. Exhaling, letting your feet go, bringing your awareness to your legs from your ankles all the way up to your thighs. So from hips to ankles, tuning into your thighs, your calves, your knees, your whole leg. Right leg, left leg, noticing what's present. What are you aware of? If there's tightness, resistance, any pain, discomfort, try to simply notice without judgment. If there's spaciousness and ease and a good, warm feeling, notice that as well. Again, without judgment. And bringing your awareness to the area around your hips and pelvis. Breathing into that space. And notice any sensations that are present, any tightness, or any openness, tension, or ease. And we tend to think of one as good and the other as bad, but I invite you to welcome all of it, whatever you're aware of, with equal curiosity. And then letting your awareness move upward to the torso, from the belly and lower back, through the rib cage, upper back, up to the collarbones. So sort of from the lower abdomen, whole chest, belly, upper, lower back area, breathing into that space. Noticing anything that's present, the good, the bad, the challenging, the uplifting, without judgment. Letting that go. Bring your awareness to your shoulders, arms, and hands. And just being aware of whatever is present there. There's nothing you need to do, simply being present, simply noticing, letting go of judgment. And then with an exhale or a sigh or a yawn, letting go of your arms and shoulders. And letting your attention and awareness come to your face, your head, your jaw and neck. Noticing what's present. Noticing what you're aware of. Letting go of judgment. Feeling what's there, even if that means feeling nothing. And then again with a exhale or a sigh or a yawn, letting that go. So as you rest for another couple of minutes, I'll share with you a chant that's an ancient chant, quite a common chant. And in this chant, it's an honoring of the sun, and it's asking the sun to shine a light into our goodness, shine a light into our challenges, basically to see ourselves fully and to integrate and accept everything that we see. And to destroy our self-judgment and bring us into a place of acceptance where there's space for all of ourselves. Om Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayate. Jyotirasomritam Brahma Bhurvasvaho. So taking a few deeper, welcoming breaths, inviting all in, space for everything, all that you are, all that you could be, all that you've been. Breathing it in with love and acceptance as much as possible. Gradually feeling maybe inspired to move and stretch in any way that would feel good. Maybe it's wiggling your fingers and toes first. Whatever feels good. And if you're lying down and you're ready to come back upright, you might roll to your side first as a gentler transition, and then slowly make your way upright as you're ready. If you prefer to stay resting for a little longer, feel free to indulge. And then let's take the arms to the sides. You can do this lying or sitting, reaching overhead. Breathing in, bringing the palms together and into your heart. Coming back to that vision. How do you want to feel? What do you want more of in your life? And then anywhere where there may be resistance, you're allowing that resistance to be present, allowing it to be your teacher, giving it space, reaching up with the arms, opening the hands, and figuratively creating space for all of that, the good, the bad, the challenging, the easeful, and then hands back to the heart. One more breath, releasing in whatever way feels good for you. Namaste.